Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review. And do you know what today is? Today is Wednesday, the best day of the week. You know why? Because it's comic book day. That means we're going to be talking about my comic load for the week. Now, week 3 of the month is what I like to call Batman week. Why? Well, it's because with the exception of maybe 3 titles I pick up, maybe 4, uh, they're pretty much all Batman titles, from Nightwing to Catwoman to Red Hood and the Outlaws to Birds of Prey. There's tons of Batman in here. The only consistent titles that I get that aren't Batman are Wonder Woman, Supergirl, and DC Universe Presents. I had to think for a second there. So, enough chit chat. Let's actually just jump into the comic load for this week. Put those bad boys down. Starting things off is Nightwing issue number 10. The core of the Owl story arc, or the Night of the Owl story arc, is done for Nightwing, and we're moving on to a new story arc. And Dick has kind of a plan that he wants to do. He wants to do something to help revitalize Gotham, to kind of put a little light in the darkness that is Gotham. And it has something to do with Haley's circus. Uh, but unfortunately, that means he's going to have to team up with someone he doesn't like. And this kind of ties a little bit into the Scott Snyder's run on Detective, the Black Mirror, because a character from the Black Mirror shows up in this, and that's who Dick has to work for. So it was nice to see a little connection between previous continuity and current continuity, seeing that not much of the Batman stuff has changed. However, while this is going down, there's some mysterious murders going on with a symbol of an A with a unique circular design around it being shown everywhere. And Nightwing needs to track down these people causing these mysterious murders and, of course, take them down. Because what would be the point of tracking them down and, just letting them chill? You know. So, onto the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good. I like the throwback to Continuity's Past. I like how it makes reference to the Black Mirror. I like the idea that Dick Grayson has for Haley Circus and for Gotham in general. It was nice to see Lucius Fox even just for a short time in there, and also to see Nightwing's arsenal. The fight scenes that we get are pretty good in the very beginning. Him just being a detective vigilante tonight. Uh, and yeah, those are the good points. Bad. The only bad that I see is this group that he's gonna go up against seemed cool at first, but then they get their asses handed to them early on, and it takes away from the possibility of them being badass. I mean, they kind of give Nightwing a challenge at the end of the issue, but they didn't really grow on me. Aesthetically, they look good, but I don't know. I don't know if the enemies are fully behind them on idea wise. Besides that, Nightwing issue number 10 is a pretty good issue. I did enjoy it, and it again has some nice throwbacks, and we get some more stuff dealing with that detective and Nightwing's baton or screamer stick being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I'll give this a 4 out of 10. Not 4 out of 10, 4 out of 5. Wow, that would be horrible. 4 out of 5. Uh, Good issue, enjoyed it. A few things here and there I don't like, but hey, it's Nightwing, so it's fun. Next, we are doing Red Hood and the Outlaws, issue number 10. So, I guess Starfire and Roy are actually kind of a pseudo couple, or at least they're like friends with benefits, because it starts off with them as friends with benefits. But an alien shows up and kind of ruins everything for the Outlaws. But we find out that this alien is actually part of Starfire's crew. She had a ship with a crew, and they need her help. Someone is attacking Tamaran, and, well, they need her wisdom, her skill, her combat expertise to take down this evil. Because, see, a lot of people forget that Starfire, despite how much she is eye candy, and let's face it, Starfire, she tends to be eye candy, and as much as she can be kind of naive, Starfire is a combat expert, a strategist extraordinaire. She was raised by warlords. She knows her way around war. So in this comic you get a little bit more of a badass Starfire than anything, and Jason's girlfriend shows up in this issue too, in a kind of a comical way. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Oh, I should mention there's also a backup to Essence. written by Scott Lobdell, but with a different artist, and it's basically following Essence as she's going after the Untitled. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good. The story, you know, it's going to be about Blackfire. You know, it's going to be about Starfire's sister, and I like that they're doing that story. This feels almost like Teen Titans, the new Teen Titans, only with Jason Todd, in a weird way. So I like that they're doing that. Uh, Starfire was portrayed very nicely here. I like how she's all combat and all, give me the orders and very Captain Jean-Luc Picard, let's get things done kind of way. A lot of people were all up in hoorah about the controversy of the first issue, which really wasn't that controversial in the end when it comes down to things. So it was nice to see a side of Starfire that we really haven't seen since the George Perez Marv Wolfman Starfire. I mean, we've seen aggressive Starfire before. Um, Even like Jeff Johns, Starfire tends to be a little bit aggressive, but we really haven't seen Warlord Starfire in a while, so it's good to see that. The moments between Jason and Roy are pretty comical, and yeah, I'm just excited for the story arc. Bad. Well, the Essence stuff wasn't bad. I think it definitely did take away from the main story. I have no problem with Essence. Actually, I think she's a decent character. But again, the main focus should be on the Red Hood and the Outlaws story. And I was just all pumped for that story, and this issue would have got a higher grade if the backup wasn't there. Um, Especially, see, it wouldn't bother me if this was a $3.99 issue where we would get the full story for Red Hood and the Outlaws and then get a backup. But this is still a $2.99 issue, so a good third of the story is going to get cut out for the backup story. So I think that was a misstep on DC's part. On a whole, like Dick Grayson and Nightwing, I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5. A good setup to what will be a fun story and a good handle on Starfire. So enjoyed it. Continuing the Bat theme today, we have Catwoman entering the dollhouse, or standoff with the dollhouse. So Catwoman's kind of become a little bit of a vigilante. Remember, this is New 52, so she's not quite a good guy yet. She's still gray area. Kind of doing her vigilante thing, trying to stop this dude right here, which we'll just call Dread because he has dreadlocks. So she's trying to hunt down this dude Dreadlock, and he's stealing prostitutes, runaways, druggies, anyone he can get his hands on. And he's stealing them, and he's supposedly curing them. But it's all tied to a place called the Dollhouse. Now, I'm not sure if this is tied to the doll maker from Detective Comics. I'm leaning more towards no because it seems like a different style. But who knows? It could be connected. But the reason why Catwoman is giving so much investment and interest in this rather than stealing is because she was abducted when she was younger. And God knows what happened with her when she was abducted, or God and Judd Winnick knows. I mean, Judd Winnick's writing it, but God knows what happened to her. But she has sympathy and empathy towards these kids that are getting abducted. No one's doing anything about it. The cops aren't going to do anything about it. These are druggies and prostitutes. And, Batman would do something about it, but it's not number one on his list. He has to go deal with bigger things. So someone's got to, and it's Catwoman. That's kind of been the theme of Catwoman ever since the beginning when she started becoming a vigilante during the Darwin Cook run. I mean, that's just what happens. Good setup, and then there was kind of, I'm kind of jumping into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. It leads off on a cliffhanger. Good. The art was good. I like the direction they're taking Catwoman as a character, and I really like the stuff that they're doing with this detective. Bad. The dollhouse angle is a little confusing because I don't know if it's connected to the doll maker or not. And if not, I think it was a wrong idea to use such a term or name if it's not going to be, it's going to confuse people. So that's one bad. Two is a shocker at the end, a cliffhanger that I saw coming 7 issues ago. Okay, maybe not that many issues, but that I saw several issues ago. So, yeah, on a whole, I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. A fun issue, but like I said, flawed. Birds of Prey, issue number 10. So I think it's official that Batgirl is a member of this team, which is good. Why not? Let's go for it. Basically, it's after Court of the Owls. Batman talks to the birds of prey, takes away the Talon, and they need to go fix up Poison Ivy. Batman's all like, seriously, you're working with Poison Ivy? I don't trust her. But Black Canary, the one thing I love about Black Canary, she takes shit from no one. It doesn't matter if you're Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman. You're giving her lip, she's going to give you lip back. And she does. Whether or not the person deserves that lip is up in the air. But she does. And Batman basically says, why are you trusting her? She's like, Poison Ivy has saved our lives millions of times, and all that kind of stuff, and gets up in Batman's face. He kind of just goes off. But anyways, they need to go to a specific place in some jungle. I don't think they reveal what jungle, but they go to a specific place where Ivy can recuperate. However, things go wrong because missiles are after them. And yeah, it just doesn't go well for the birds of prey. They're also chased by organic plant monsters. Don't worry, they don't have a soul. Katana confirms that for us. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good. The story was actually pretty fun. I like the birds of prey kind of going off and doing something different outside of Gotham. The confrontation with Batman was enjoyable. The characters were portrayed nicely. And I'm interested to see what happens with Poison Ivy. Bad, the art, it just doesn't fit this comic. It's not bad art by any means. I can see it in like an Animal Man or a Swamp Thing, but it just doesn't fit this comic too well. So I didn't care for the art that much. Um, Besides that, like Catwoman, I'm going to give this 3.5 out of 5. It was fun. It was enjoyable. And Birds of Prey is, a lot of people don't give Birds of Prey a lot of credit. I think it's a good series. I think it's, when you look at the whole Batman family, it's often forgotten because it's not as connected as, say, Nightwing or Red Hood. Well, Red Hood's kind of disconnected, but not as connected as Nightwing or Catwoman is. But it's when you look at all the good stuff in the DC universe, it's often easy to overlook this, and it's actually one of the better stuff. So, 3.5 out of 5. And the last Bat book of the week would be Batwoman, issue number 10. So Batwoman is basically dealing with Medusa, and we get to see a little bit more of Killer Croc and his transformation, how he's being what he is. Medusa is kind of toyed around with him. And again, like with a lot of the previous issues for this story arc, there's a lot of jump around. We see Maggie Sawyer's story. We see, Flame Bird story. We see Batwoman story. We see the stories all around. Good. The dialogue is just really good on this. It's some pretty hardcore moments, especially dealing with, Flamebird being unconscious and her grandfather talking to her, and dealing with Maggie Sawyer was very nicely handled. Even the agent, whose name escapes me, I'll actually look it up now. The blonde agent that she works with, Chase. Chase. Chase is even growing on me as a character, so the dialogue and the characters are handled very nicely. I also like the little bits about Killer Croc in there, and the art is very good. Bad, I really don't like how the story is being delivered to us with the jumping back and forth. That's something I have told you guys since the first issue of the story. Okay, it's something I just don't like, the back and forth, the jumping around. I feel as though it breaks up the pace of what would be a great story. That and the villains are just not interesting. I don't care about Medusa. I think they would be interesting maybe in another setting, but I mean, other than Croc, I mean the Asian guy, I forget his name. He's just not interesting as a villain. He kind of comes off sometimes, but not in recent issues. So I really not. Falchion, he had potential, but he kind of turns out to be a wuss. So I'm not really digging the enemies. Whether or not you should get it, I enjoyed this issue in retrospect. While I was reading it, I said to myself, meh, how am I going to review this? But in retrospect, looking back on it now, I did enjoy this, and I did enjoy the stuff that went on. There's flaws to it, though. I think it's just that structure that kills me, the going back and forth and jumping around. It feels almost like I'm reading Grant Morrison's last issue to any story arc he does, like R.I.P., Final Crisis or the Return of Bruce Wayne. That's one of it's kind of funny. That's one of Grant Morrison's little sticks that he does. Is that the last issue of every story arc that he does, the story can be very well paced, and then the last issue will be like a clutter. And that's kind of how I feel. Batwoman is still a good series. I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 5. I just want the structure to go back to smooth storytelling. Supergirl, issue number 10. So Kara flew into Silver Banshee's father and basically has to fight him in her fantasy dream world, fighting Kryptonian dragons and Kryptonian knight armor with a Kryptonian sword. And that's the basic gist of this. I don't really have to go into too much more detail than that. So let's do good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good. I like the characters in this, particularly Silver Banshee, her brother who makes an appearance, and obviously Kara. The ending was nice. It gives me hope for what more stuff they will do with Silver Banshee because I like the direction they're going with Banshee. She's not an evildoer. She's actually kind of a good guy. Misunderstood, has power that could corrupt her, but she's not a bad person. So I kind of like that direction that they're going. Bad. The fighting in your dreams things. It just felt a little unnatural for Supergirl, so I really didn't dig it that much, and that's really the biggest problem with this. If it was Supergirl with her natural powers going up against this guy, I'd be cool with it, but defeating him in the dream defeats him in the real world kind of thing, not digging it. Whether or not you should get it, like with not Birds of Prey, like with Batwoman, this was good, had its faults, 3 out of 5. I am interested on what the next issue will be. It's going to be the start of a new story arc. So, next we're going to do DC Universe Presents issue number 10, featuring Vandal Savage, or just Savage. James Robinson is at the wheel right now. And last issue was really good. And the last issue basically set up that Vandal Savage is in prison for various different murders that he did that are ritual sacrifices. His daughter needs his help because someone's copying his murders. So Vandal Savage promises to help them out. And basically in this issue is just him tracking down the murderer. But that's not really the issue. The issue, like with a lot of James Robinson's stories, it's not the main story that is the main story. Then tracking down this murderer isn't what's really going on. It's the conflict, the dialogue, and the relationship going on between Vandal Savage and his daughter. The different opposing views that they have, the the awkwardness that they have with each other, and overall the synergy that they have too, because there is synergy there. Uh, Good dialogue was great. Uh, the art was really nice. Vandal Savage was in character to what he should be at this time. He feels like a mixture of himself from the old universe, but at the same time having the little bit of lightheartedness that we get from Demonites, because Vandal Savage is in Demonites. It's a good blend. It's a safe blend, intellectual, but still at the same time lighthearted, which Vandal Savage could be sometimes. I mean, when you're immortal, really, hey, whatever. Shit happens. Which is pretty interesting. Good stuff. Bad. The only bad I don't like is the person that's doing the copycat crimes looks silly. It would have been cool if it was just a regular murderer, but it seems like someone connected to Vandal Savage. So, for all I know, he could turn out to be a great villain. But right now, as this stands, I don't really care about at least the aesthetic look. Whether or not you should get it, definitely. 4 out of 5. This is really good. DC Universe Presents featuring Vandal Savage has been awesome. So yeah, pick it up. On to Wonder Woman issue number 10. So Wonder Woman is about to marry Hades, but come on. Come on. We all know it's not going to happen. So Wonder Woman basically gets into a fight with Hades and all her friends come along. She doesn't want them there, but all of them come along. And that's the basic gist. I don't want to give too much away, especially with the ending, which is pretty badass. Um, Good, bad, whether or not... I know, that's kind of a quick review. I don't want to reveal too much, because this has a pretty good ending in it. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Dialogue was good. Art was good. Really enjoyed the ending. Really enjoyed the character interactions between everyone, and I'm curious to see what happens to Hades. especially with what was going on with his face. Bad, I don't know if this is verbalized correctly. I'll try my best, but um, it felt like there was such a big build up between the fight between Hades and Wonder Woman. She resolves it, and she resolves it magnificently. But I would have really been interested to see Hades versus Wonder Woman. There was an opportunity to do a big fight scene, which we haven't really had a big fight with Wonder Woman in a while. I mean, she kind of did have one 2 issues ago, but before that, it's been a lot of talking and exhibition, which is fine. But I do want to see my Wonder Woman kick some ass. So, besides that, also 4 out of 5. Ending it this week is Before Watchmen, The Comedian, issue number 1 of 6. So, going into Before Watchmen, I said I was only going to pick up Ozymandias and Minutemen. But you know what? I see it. Whenever I go to my comic store, I see it. And it looks at me. And it says, Andrew, just buy me. Okay? This is only going to happen once in a lifetime. They're only going to do Watchmen sequel once. Hopefully. Uh, Pick it up. And I said, Before Watchmen. You scandalous girl, you. You're trying to seduce me, aren't you? And Watchmen says, maybe. So you know what? I cave in. I guess I'm just gonna pick up everything before Watchmen now. So we're doing Comedian, and this circles around JFK, the Kennedys, and the comedian's relationship with them, and eventually what happens when JFK gets killed, and how comedian reacts to that, and it's actually handled in an interesting way. Uh, yeah, that's the basic gist of it. There's a lot of background stuff, and you find out Jackie Kennedy is kind of a tough girl. What she orders comedian to do, rough core. It's hardcore and rough put together. Rough core, um, showing that America's past could be dark too. Although I think we all know there's darkness and everything. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Art is good. The ending was awesome. The ending was awesome. Uh, the interactions between the Kennedys and comedian is nice. And actually, you know what? There wasn't really much bad about this either. I really did enjoy this. Looking back on it now, I think the only bad I could say is the pace was very slow. Very slow pace. It worked fine with what it was, and we had Brian Azzarello doing the comic. Um, but other than the pace, it was a good issue. I think I'll give this a 4 out of 5. So for this week, a pretty good week. We had a couple 4 out of 5s, so we have a good amount of contenders for the Andrew Carter pick of the week. We had a couple 3.5s and we had a couple 3s. Nothing below 3. Solid week by DC. Enjoyable week. And which one will be my Andrew Carter pick of the week? Well, you're just going to have to wait and see. I'm going to end this video here. This is Andrew saying, peace out for now.